Welcome to another episode of TICPodcast, and I want to say hi. It's not been too long. Excuse me while I take a sip. I'm having Cryo Stash Imperial IPA, 8.7%. Yes, it's a solid choice. I reviewed it a while ago. Let me take a pull. So, another TICPodcast. Why am I talking today? Well, a few things are on my mind, and it just feels like a really nice early spring day. You know, I make this podcast when I feel like it, and today I just want to do one because it's a fun time. And I recently had a move, and I was thinking, I love my Xbox Series S. And Xbox has been kind of under fire lately. They've been talking a lot about like, oh man, it's the end of Xbox, like blah. And I think they're doing okay. And I'll tell you why. Okay, so recently there was a bunch of articles about how like Xbox was pretty much gonna get rid of all their exclusives and they were gonna give it away to PS5, and like Game Pass was coming to Switch and PS5 and all this stuff. And there was so much like rumor spreading. So eventually, like Phil Spencer, he had a moderator from IGN ask him a couple of pointed questions, and it was all live. It wasn't scripted. It was a live podcast. And he said a few things that, basically was like, hey, look, here's what we're doing and here's where we're going. And, I have some thoughts, but overall, I'd say that he's doing decent. So what is that about? Like, is Xbox doomed? And here's what happened. So right off the gate, they asked, like, are your big exclusives coming to PS5? And it was like Starfield and the new Indiana Jones game. And he said no. And, he did say that Pentiment, Grounded, Hi-Fi Rush, and Sea of Thieves, I think, were going to PS5 and Switch. But they were a year old or older than a year old. And he was like, I just want to see what we can do to boost our numbers. So he mentioned that exclusives are kind of like going by the wayside, and it's becoming less of a thing and more of like a crossplay thing. I've heard from a couple of my friends that they want to play crossplay in general. Like, that sounds like a good idea. And I'm from the thought that you buy a system for the games that are exclusive to it, and that's really what the other two are all about. But there are exclusives for Xbox. I know a lot of backwards compatible games aren't coming over and stuff. But Phil Spencer was just basically like, over the course of since like the Xbox One, they've been really pushing for having like a global network, and you can stream it on your phone, you can play with your friends across different systems, and it's more like an entertainment hub. And I just thought that was a really interesting kind of direction that Xbox had, because they kind of pioneered Game Pass. And I feel like Game Pass has been probably the best thing Xbox has done in years. I mean, like, that's the best thing they've done during the new wave, like Xbox One era. And it's only gotten better. Like, Game Pass is just completely kicking ass. And, now that the Activision deal is done, all the games from Activision are coming up. Diablo 4 was the big one they talked about, but I'm really excited for the Call of Duty games because, I don't want to pay $60 a game if I don't like it. And, all the Call of Duty games are full price when you buy them on the store. So this way, I can play like the last 10 years of Call of Duty without having to worry about, spending a ton of money. And, as far as like that, I think that's the best deal. And the moderator from the podcast asked, like, okay, so is Game Pass coming to Switch and PS5? And right off the bat, the guy who was in charge of first party, he said, you're only going to get Game Pass on Xbox. And, that's kind of loose because you can get Xbox on PC and mobile. But I think what he meant to say is that you can only get it on the platforms specific that they already chose. So you're not getting them on other consoles. I think, overall, I really like, what Xbox is. It's social. I have a few friends who have Xboxes, and I'll be like in the middle of nowhere, bring my hard drive, and I can play instantly, and bring my whole library in a Seagate portable HDD hard drive. I think that's honestly really convenient. And during my move, I had my Xbox Series S. And the thing is now my favorite game system I've had. I mean, I used to say that the N64 and the original Xbox were my favorite systems, and they are, but I think the Xbox Series S combines everything into one system. So because it just has everything in one, including backwards compatible games, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the Xbox Series S is my favorite system I've had. I mean, it doesn't have every single game, but it has so many and so much from different hardware like Sega and Nintendo that, the Xbox Series S is my favorite system. It's sturdy, it's built like a brick, and it's really neat and organized. I love the look of it, and it vents really well. Like, it never overheats. So there's a couple of games coming out. Avowed I really want to play because I think Obsidian is making it. And if you don't know Obsidian, they're like the brother to Bethesda, and they're making their own twist on the Elder Scrolls series called Avowed. And I definitely want to check that out because, they did such a great job on like Fallout and the Outer Worlds. I'm not too crazy on Indiana Jones, even though the new Indiana Jones does look really good. They're making a Indiana Jones game through Machine Games, and it's really puzzle oriented because you're like, that's what Indiana Jones is about, is figuring out these like archaeological digs and stuff like that. So I think that game is going to be really good, but it's not necessarily for me because for some reason I just think Indiana Jones isn't like the best movie. I think it's like an amalgamation of movies before it, and therefore it just doesn't feel that special. But, this is coming from a guy who kind of lives and breathes the 70s and 90s. I think that Fable is going to be great. Forza Horizon 5 and the Forza Motorsport solo title were amazing. I mean, they really did great with the Forza games. And, I haven't played Starfield, but I would like it. I've seen enough footage to know about the bugs and all that, but I don't care. It's to me what I wanted, Skyrim in space. And it seemed like it delivered pretty much. I haven't played it yet, but it looks fun. It has shooting, it has looting, and it has tons of exploration, which is, to me, what I expected. Things overall, I'd say that, the company is really trying to focus on expanding towards more players. And, that means putting indie titles on other systems and making Game Pass a priority and making social a priority. And, I can see that doing well. Is Xbox dead? I think Xbox is not so much a console anymore. It's more like an idea, kind of like Apple or something. The company had like an interesting path because it started as just console and now it's almost like a service. It definitely feels less of a system and more of like an ecosystem, if that makes sense. But I just had like a good day. I was feeling happy. It was sunny outside. It's like spring right now, even though it's like February. It's late February. And overall I just felt like, yeah, I want to talk about games. I'm like, I like where things are going right now. Sega is finally back. They just released a trailer during the Game Awards, and it was everything I needed, not wanted, needed from Sega. Like, they listened, they heard everything that we all talked about. Like, hey, we want you to do Sega stuff. And they're like, okay, hold my beer. And they released this trailer of like 5 titles. And, oh my God, I'm ready. Like, I'm a gamer, but I feel like games today are not the same. And Sega was like, hey, welcome back to 1999. We're bringing it. And, with indie games, it's also coming back. There's a lot of passionate, indie game developers who grew up with N64 and Dreamcast and stuff. So we're getting a lot of really good stuff on the small scale, but the bigger scale is starting to pay attention too. I'm not wanting to quit gaming. I just want more out of it. I want things to get better for the industry because we all know games aren't as fun as they used to be. But that doesn't mean bad games are all games. That doesn't mean good games don't happen. But yeah, I mean, like, I just had like kind of a blurb, kind of like a random tangent that I wanted to talk about. And it's a nice afternoon, and I just wanted to say hi because it's one of those days, and it's nice to do these podcasts. It's really fun for me. So have a great day. It's the afternoon. It's a Saturday, and it's almost March. So have a good one, and peace out. See you later.